Hey everyone, how's it going? Azrin here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds, and welcome to today's Learn Gujarati with Me podcast episode and YouTube video. Today we're going to keep learning some more vocabulary in Gujarati, and we're going to change gears a little bit. For the past few videos, we've been doing a lot of food-related vocabulary. We did fruits, we did vegetables, we did a couple of different Gujarati like dishes that you cook, right? We did a whole bunch of different food related things. And today we're going to change gears for the next few lessons. In fact, we're going to change gears and we're going to look at some common animal words in Gujarati. Now, we are going to go back to doing foods. I'm actually not done with that, not by a long shot. But for the time being, we're going to hit the pause button and do a little bit of animal work together. Now, today's animals are all going to be domestic animals, so things that you have at home, or they're going to be domestic animals in the context, in the Indian context, meaning like if you're on a farm, you might have it on a farm, for example, or if you're in India, you might actually see it a lot on the road. As an example, an animal that for me, I would not call it a domestic animal, but from the Indian logic, maybe it is more domestic, quote unquote, would be gai. Gai is a cow. It's a cow, so gai. I remember like when I was in India with my family, the first time I couldn't. I was just so surprised to see the cows everywhere. We would be late to places when driving because a family of cows decided to have a nap on the road. So all these gai cows are sleeping on the road, and we'd be late to go somewhere. Now, an animal that to me looks kind of similar to a gai is bhens. Bhens is a buffalo. It's a buffalo. Bhens is such a funny word to me. I remember learning it for the first time. I was in India when I learned it for the first time. And my mom was telling me, she's like, Azrin, do you know what that animal is? I was like, no, I don't know what it is. She's like, it's bhens. And something about the bhens, like the bah in bhens, it sounds heavy to me. And bhens is a very heavy animal. It just fits. When you look at a buffalo, you think, that is a bhens. That like what else would that be? The word buffalo in English is not suited for it. Bhens is a much better word for buffalo in my mind, in my goofy mind. Now, another animal that looks similar to a buffalo, but is not a buffalo, is a barad. Barad. Barad is an ox. Not a word that we use all the time in Canada, I find. At least I don't think so. In English, I don't use it very often. But it is interesting that in India, I find it's just a much more common word. It's a more common animal. If we look at another one, let's look at some more traditional, quote unquote, domestic animals. Let's look at dogs and cats. So these are words you might already know. Putro for dog, bilari for cat. Two very easy words. Two words we've used a lot on this YouTube channel. Another word that we've used a fair amount, I think, on this YouTube channel is the word for horse. So horse in Gujarati is ghodo. 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 Now, I know the list of words is kind of piling up. Don't you worry. We are going to do some practice with them today. And there is a link in the episode description box. It looks like this. I'll show it to you. It looks like, let me share my screen. It looks like this. Bam. There's a worksheet so you can see all the different animals we cover and more. And there is below a table as well where you can see all the different words that we're covering and, of course, many more. I do find it very interesting that they call it domestic animals. To me, some of these are just not, by my logic, they're not always domestic. Domestic to me is something that lives inside your home, like a dog or a cat. But when you look at how this is organized and you look at the culture behind Gujarat and India, you're like, right, I could see in a way like how that might be domestic. It's a more common kind of a animal that you see and it is around, right? One animal we have in India that you will see with relative frequency is a camel. You don't see camels walking down the street in Calgary here, where I live in Canada. Like that's not going to happen. A camel in Gujarati is unt. Unt. Fun fact about the unt animal, in case you don't know this, if you ride on a camel, when they stand up or sit down, they do it two legs at a time. And it's so tall that it catches you by surprise and you feel like you're going to be flung off. As those two legs go down or the back legs go down, you're like, holy moly. It's like some kind of it's like a ride or a roller coaster or something like that. Very, very interesting. So, quick recap before we do some practice. We have kutro for dog, bilari for cat, goro for horse, unt for camel, gai for cow, bhens for buffalo. What do we do? Barad for ox. Should we do a couple of more? Let's do one last one, just one. Because obviously we could sit here for hours and hours and do all sorts um of animal words. Is an infinite number, but we can do one last one. Let's do a pig. Let's do bhund. Bhund. So bhund is a pig. Fun fact about pigs. Um, so I always thought, like, when I pictured a pig, I pictured like what we see in kids' books here in Canada, or even sometimes when I've been to like farms and stuff, like you see the pink pig, you see like a pink one. But in India, a lot of the pigs are not necessarily like the pink ones. They're more like I can't remember the English word, but the hairy ones, kind of hairy in a way. They're called it's on the tip of my tongue, like a boar almost. And so that's bhund. So it really surprised me in India to see that. Like, wow, there's pigs walking around this village or walking around this town, and it's not what I'd picture when I see a pig. Very interesting. So that is a bhund. Okay, you guys ready for some practice? Let's go. I'll share my screen. Do. This still on? Yes, microphone still works. Good. Okay, let's start with a really easy one. Dog. We've done that a lot on this YouTube channel and the podcast. What do we call a dog in Gujarati? Dog, when this loads. There we go. A dog is kutro. Kutro. What about let's do another easy one. What about a cat? What do we call that in Gujarati? Cat. A cat is bilari. So kutro, bilari. What about an animal we don't see as much here in Canada? Camels. What do we call a camel in Gujarati when it loads? There we go. Unt. Unt. Look at how high off the ground they are. Holy moly, they're so big. Such a big animal. Just like picturing that walking down the streets of Calgary when it's like middle of winter or something. That would just be such a strange sight. Okay, unt. Let's look at, what about an ox? What do we call an ox in Gujarati? Those huge horns, right? There we go. Oh, those look more, well, hang on, let's see here. There we go. Barad. Barad is a nice one over here. Barad. Kind of a similar looking animal in a way. Let's look at a buffalo. What do we call a buffalo? Buffalo is bhens. Bhens. And I'm not going to switch images, but let's say these are a bunch of cows on the road. Let's just say they're cows. What are cows in Gujarati? Gai. Gai. Okay, let's look at this here. We did this today as well. When it loads. Bam, look at that. Pigs. Bhund. Right? Bhund. That is a pig. I don't like that one there being cooked at the bottom. There we go. Bhund. A pig. Okay, so as a reminder, this is very important. As a reminder, in the episode description box, there is a link to a worksheet so you can like print it off and practice with them. Practice in whatever way is useful for you. Make flashcards, cover it up and try and remember, try and write it out yourself, write some sentences with it, just review it, maybe think about how you'd use it in sentences, maybe label. Well, you can't label your house. You don't have that in your house, but you get the picture. Whatever is useful for you, like use these to try and boost up your vocabulary. Vocabulary is it's the lifeblood of language. Vocabulary is the lifeblood. You need an ample vocabulary size. So this kind of thing is really, really, really important. Okay, so the next couple lessons, we're gonna do some more vocabulary with some more some more animal vocabulary. So stay tuned. I will see you in the next lesson. Aujo, bye.